Good morning, you're watching Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. Our top focus this morning is the last day of nomination filing for the presidential elections. Opposition's candidate Meera Kumar filing her nomination for the top constitutional post. This and much more in the next half an hour. But before all those details, a quick look at the top headlines. Netherlands backs India's early entry into NSG and bid for UNSCC. Decision on granting 5-year business and tourist visa to Dutch passport holders soon. Last day for filing nomination papers for presidential polls. Meera Kumar to file papers. 4th set of papers to be filed by Ram Nath Kovind's behalf. Annual Amarnath Yatra in Kashmir begins. Alert issued after intelligence warning of possible terror attack. Heavy rains in Mumbai and Konkan region. Monsoon advances into Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Floods affect over 1 lakh people in Assam. And yet another major ransomware cyber attack. Major global firms targeted. Fresh wave of attacks after WannaCry in May this year. The filing of nominations for the 17th July presidential election ends today with 64 papers, including those of NDA candidate Ram Nath Kovind, being filed so far. Though 64 papers have been filed so far, the number of actual candidates is much less at 57, as some of them have filed multiple nominations. One candidate can file a maximum of 4 nominations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP veterans L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi were the prominent leaders who had proposed former Bihar Governor Govind's name in the nomination papers. Several union ministers and MLAs had seconded the proposal on June 23rd. Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu will file the 4th set of nomination papers on Kovind's behalf today. The elected members of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the state legislative assemblies can propose and second a candidate, as they are the ones who elect the president through the system of proportional representation. Ram Nath Kovind will meet Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti in Srinagar today to seek the support of lawmakers from the state for the 17th July election. Mehbooba, who was not present when Kovind filed his nomination papers, will convene a meeting of MPs and MLAs from the state at her residence, which will be addressed by Kovind. Her party, the PDP, had assured the BJP of its support. Kovind will be accompanied by Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu and the party's General Secretary Ram Madhav. The ex-Rajya Sabha member will meet NDA MPs and MLAs from Haryana and Punjab in Panchkula, Haryana on Thursday. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and BJP's General Secretary Anil Jain will be among the leaders who will be with Kovind in the Haryana town. Later this week, Kovind will visit Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry. So far, 28 parties have extended their support to the NDA's presidential candidate. Opposition's presidential nominee Meera Kumar will file her nomination papers today. She will file the papers in the presence of Congress President Sonia Gandhi and a number of opposition leaders. Kumar will file a set of 4 nomination papers, which will be proposed and seconded by leaders of a number of opposition parties. She will file her papers at 11:30 a.m. in Parliament before the Lok Sabha Secretary General, the returning officer for the presidential elections. Leaders of the number of opposition parties, including CPIM's Sitaram Yechuri and TMC's Derek O'Brien, and other leaders representing opposition parties like the DMK, SP, BSP, RJS and JMM, will also accompany her during the nomination filing. 17 political parties have selected her as their presidential candidate against NDA's Ram Nath Kovind. Counting of votes after the presidential polls will take place on July 20th. President Pranab Mukherjee will demit office on July 24th. And for more on this, we'll go across to our correspondent Vishal Dahiya, who is joining us live from the Parliament House. Vishal, today is the last day for a nomination filing. Opposition's candidate Meera Kumar will file her nominations today. How is the opposition camp prepared for the process, considering the fact that NDA had shown a massive show of strength when its candidate Ram Nath Kovind had filed his nomination last week?
Well, the opposition is expected to reply to that particular show of strength which was shown by the NDA during the filing of nomination papers for its candidate Ram Nath Kovind, and that is clear from the elaborate arrangements which the opposition parties have made for their candidate. In fact, the entire gamut of senior leaders, not only from the Congress but also the other opposition parties who have supported the candidature of Meera Kumar, they will be present in the Parliament House at 11 a.m. In fact, they will be accompanying Meera Kumar for the nomination, and that would include all senior leaders from the Congress, from the left parties, and the other allies as well, who, as part of the the opposition's 17 opposition parties unity, have decided Meera Kumar's candidature. The Meera Kumar's journey for nomination will begin in a short while from now. She will first go to Rajghat, pay her respects to the father of the nation, and then from there onwards move to the Parliament House and will enter Parliament House exactly at 11 a.m. and proceed towards the room of the returning officer, that is the Secretary General of Lok Sabha, and then the entire nomination process will take place in the room of Secretary General Lok Sabha. That should take at least 15 to 20 minutes, and during this entire process, all those senior leaders of the opposition parties, including the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, Ghulam Nabi Azad, and Congress's leader in Lok Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, and other several leaders will be present alongside and then will begin the process of the campaigning for Meera Kumar. Let's not forget that the NDA's nominee, Ram Nath Kovind, has already embarked on the campaign process. He's already been to several states, and as you were saying a short while back, he will be meeting other leaders in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana, Punjab, and several other states as well. Now, once the nomination is filed today, the opposition candidate, Meera Kumar, will also embark on the campaign journey. She has already held a press conference yesterday in the national capital, asking all members of the Electoral College, appealing rather to them to support her candidature for the top post.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for joining us and giving us all those details. So remember, Meera Kumar, the opposition's presidential candidate, will file her nominations today in a short while from now. Meanwhile, Meera Kumar on Tuesday said that the upcoming presidential election is not a fight of caste but ideology. Kumar addressed a press conference in New Delhi a day before filing her nominations for the elections. 2 days ago, Kumar also wrote letters to all members of the collegium requesting them for their support.
Opposition presidential nominee Meera Kumar on Tuesday said there is a need to remove the caste structure and caste-based politics. A case in point, she said, is the upcoming presidential election, which shouldn't be seen as a Dalit versus Dalit contest.
तो चर्चा होती कि दो दलित खड़े हो गए, उनके व्यक्तित्व के बाकी सारे पक्ष गौण हो जाते हैं। तो समाज किस तरह से सोच रहा है आज 2017 में, इसका आकलन मेरे सामने बड़े साफ तरीके से हो जा रहा है, और मैं चाहूँगी कि अब जाति को गठरी में बांध के और जमीन के अंदर बहुत गहरे गाड़ देना चाहिए.
Meera Kumar said her electoral plank will be democratic values, inclusiveness and social justice. The former Lok Sabha Speaker also revealed that she will launch her campaign from Sabarmati Ashram in Gujarat.
Social justice, freedom of press, transparency, end of poverty, destruction of caste structure are some of the cherished values which form important component of this ideology. This ideology is very close to my heart. For this very reason, in the coming election, this will be the plank on which I will contest.
Meera Kumar will face the NDA's presidential candidate Ram Nath Kovind. Both Kumar and Kovind are Dalit leaders. While Kumar was the first woman speaker of the Lok Sabha, Kovind resigned as governor of Bihar earlier this month. She will file her nomination papers on Wednesday after being selected as the presidential candidate unanimously by 17 major political opposition parties. The election will be held on July 17th and counting of votes will be on July 20th. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more news. The Netherlands has backed India's early entry into the NSG and other multilateral export control regimes. It has also supported India's bid for a permanent UN Security Council seat. The Netherlands' support came after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with his Dutch counterpart Mark Rutte at The Hague. Before wrapping up his visit, Prime Minister Modi said that India will soon take a decision on granting 5-year business and tourist visas to Dutch passport holders. He said this while addressing the Indian diaspora. In his hour-long speech, Modi mostly focused on his government's efforts aimed at women empowerment as he talked about the endeavour to ensure progress and modernization of India.
हमारी सरकार ने 50% जो जनसंख्या है उसको भारत की विकास यात्रा का एक प्रमुख हिस्सा बनाने की दिशा में बीड़ा उठाया है। एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ विमेन और इतना ही नहीं, विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट। सिर्फ डेवलपमेंट से एस्पिरेशंस पूरे नहीं होते हैं, सिर्फ गुड गवर्नेंस से भी नहीं होते हैं। डेवलपमेंट एंड गुड गवर्नेंस दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन होता है, तब जन सामान्य को समाधान होता है।
India and Netherlands on Tuesday signed 3 MOUs on water management, cultural cooperation and amending social security arrangement. The MOUs were signed in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Dutch counterpart in Amsterdam. Both the leaders also reaffirmed their country's commitment towards the Paris climate deal.
On the final leg of his 3-nation tour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with his Dutch counterpart Mark Rutte at Kutschers in The Hague. Both leaders deliberated on a series of bilateral and international issues. Hailing India's economic reforms, Dutch Prime Minister Rutte called India a global economic power.
When it comes to the economy, India's onward development is opening new doors to trade and investments in both our countries. India is now a global economic power. It's the world's 12th biggest economy and has a population of more than 1.2 billion. So the Indian market has a lot of potential.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauded the Netherlands for helping India successfully get a membership of the Missile Technology Control Regime. He also called the Netherlands a natural partner in India's road to development.
भारत और नीदरलैंड के संबंध सदियों पुराने हैं और हमेशा ये संबंध एक मजबूती की राह पर आगे बढ़ते रहे हैं। द्विपक्षीय इन्वेस्टमेंट संबंधों की बात करें तो तक कुल मिलाकर नीदरलैंड्स हमारा 5th लार्जेस्ट सोर्स ऑफ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट है। इनफैक्ट पिछले 3 वर्षों में नीदरलैंड्स हमारा 3rd लार्जेस्ट सोर्स ऑफ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट बनकर के उभरा है।
The Netherlands is India's 6th largest trading partner in the European Union and a major investor in Indian sectors of technology, energy, logistics, financial services and transport. Trade between the two countries has continued to grow steadily and stood at $9 billion in 2014-2015 with positive balance of trade in India's favour. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And with that, we'll slip into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking History on Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some more national news, the government has made mandatory quoting of Aadhaar number or enrollment ID to apply for the PAN card. It has notified amended income tax rules, making mandatory linking of existing Aadhaar numbers with PAN. This comes after the Supreme Court on Tuesday refused to pass an interim order against the centre's notification, making Aadhaar mandatory for availing benefits of the social welfare schemes. The government had assured the Apex Court that no one would be deprived of them for want of this identification. A mega rehearsal has been planned for tonight in the Central Hall of Parliament ahead of the historic GST launch on the midnight of June 30th. As per the official sources, the rehearsal, scheduled to be held at 10 p.m, may be supervised by either Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar, his deputies Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi and SS Ahluwalia, or Secretary Rajiv Yadav. Officers concerned from various departments, including those from the Finance Ministry, will be the part of the rehearsal event. The purpose of rehearsal is to ensure that everything is well organized and there is smooth conduct of the launch event. The final event is likely to start at 11 p.m. on June 30th and will be on till midnight. Meanwhile, suspense continues over the participation of the Congress in the 30th June midnight meeting. The party is likely to decide on the issue today. The Congress leaders are reportedly divided on the issue, as a group within the Congress feels that GST was the party's brainchild, which has now been taken over by the ruling BJP. However, some leaders feel that the GST is being implemented in a haste and all aspects have not been taken into consideration. 3 Hurriyat leaders have been detained by the police in Srinagar. The leaders Ayaz Akbar, Altaf Shah and Mehrajuddin Kalwal were to be questioned by the National Investigation Agency in Delhi. Earlier in the month, NIA had carried out searches at 14 places in Kashmir and 8 places in the national capital in connection with terror funding received from Pakistan for carrying out subversive activities in the valley. The NIA had earlier registered a preliminary inquiry but converted it into a regular case last evening. The separatists are alleged to have received funds from the chief of Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, Chief Hafiz Saeed, to carry out subversive activities in the Kashmir Valley. China on Tuesday accused Indian troops of crossing the boundary in the Sikkim region and demanded their immediate withdrawal. The statement came after the Chinese Defense Ministry accused the Indian troops of objecting to a road construction in what it claimed to be the Chinese territory. Beijing justified the construction of the road in the Sikkim sector, saying the area was located on its side of the border as per the 1890 Sino-British Treaty, which was recognized by both the countries. China also lodged a diplomatic protest with India, both in New Delhi and Beijing, over the alleged trespassing and demanding a thorough investigation. On Monday night, China refused the entry of Indian pilgrims who entered Tibet via the Nathula Pass, citing border standoff as the reason.
中方在北京和新德里都已经向印度方面提出了严正的交涉，表明了我们的严正的立场。我在这必须强调，中方对发展中印友好关系是有诚意的，同时中方维护自身主权权益的立场也是坚定不移的。
In Darjeeling, paramilitary forces have stepped up patrolling and taken position in the sensitive pockets as GGM-sponsored indefinite shutdown entered its 3rd week. On Tuesday, GGM supporters intensified protests, burning copies of the GTA Accord at several places in the hill region. The supporters also turned to violence after days of calm as they targeted the house of chairman of the development board in Kalimpong district. Shops remained closed and internet services remained suspended in the region. The activists have threatened to commit self-immolation and launch a fast unto death if their demand for a separate state is not heeded by the centre. However, the BJP has said that it does not support its ally GGM's demand but has called for addressing the region's cultural and political concerns. BJP has blamed the state's government for triggering a crisis by undermining the Gorkha territorial administration.
से हम लोग अलग अलग रहना चाहते हैं। हम लोगों का भाषा अलग है, संस्कृति अलग है। उसकी वजह से हम लोगों को गोरखालैंड राज्य चाहिए। इसके लिए हम लोग अपना खून भी बहा सकते हैं। ये मैसेज है बंगाल सरकार को।
आज के बाद यहाँ का गोरखालैंड टेरिटोरियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का कोई एंटिटी नहीं है और हम लोग नहीं चाहते हैं। और सरकार को, केंद्र सरकार को भी ये बता दें कि आने वाला दिन में सिर्फ एक एजेंडा में हम लोग बातचीत करेंगे और हमारा वो एजेंडा है सेपरेट स्टेट ऑफ गोरखालैंड।
On to the latest from weather. The flood situation in Assam remained unchanged on Tuesday, with more than 1 lakh people affected in the 8 districts. According to this Assam State Disaster Management Authority report, the flood-hit districts are Lakhimpur, Karimganj, Jorhat, Karbi Anglong, Hojai, Golaghat, Shivsagar and Sonitpur districts, overrunning 150 villages in 9 revenue circles. As per the report, 5 rivers were flowing above the danger mark. Due to heavy rains, waterlogging has been reported from several areas. Altogether, 1,380 hectares cropland has been submerged by the flood in Lakhimpur district. Heavy rain lashed Mumbai and other parts of Maharashtra on Tuesday, leading to flooding in several cities, including Nagpur. Mumbai recorded 10.2 millimeters of rain and the suburbs saw 15.4 millimeters in just 8 hours. Waterlogging was reported at 10 locations in Mumbai. The trains were the worst hit, with several of them being delayed owing to flooded tracks. However, tourists and locals displayed grit and enjoyed the high tide waves, which lashed most of the seafront areas like Gateway of India, Kolaba, Nariman Point and Chowpatty, among others.
हमेशा खतरा रहता है। बारिश की वजह से पानी बहुत आता है और स्कूल के लिए जाने के लिए बहुत तकलीफ होती है। ऐसे ही वहाँ से चल के आना पड़ता है, चल के जाना पड़ता है।
बरसात शुरू हो गई है, अच्छा लग रहा है, रिमझिम पानी है, बारिश का मौसम है, पकोड़े का मजा लें, आनंद करें और क्या।
The first batch of over 4,000 pilgrims for this year's Amarnath Yatra has been flagged off from Jammu today. Amid tight security arrangements, Jammu and Kashmir Deputy CM Nirmal Singh flagged off the Yatra from Bhagwati Nagar Base Camp this morning. Speaking on the occasion, he said that foolproof security arrangements have been made for the smooth conduct of the Yatra. According to an intelligence warning, the Yatra, which begins today, is facing a terror threat. Over 2.30 lakh pilgrims have registered for the Yatra. The government has mobilized a heavy security blanket of over 35,000 to 40,000 troops, including the police, the army, the BSF and the CRPF. Satellites and drones would monitor this year's Yatra.
जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार की ओर से बहुत अच्छे प्रबंध किए गए हैं। जो श्राइन बोर्ड है उसने बड़े अच्छे प्रबंध किए हैं। लोगों के यहाँ आने का, रहने का, हर प्रकार के उनके खाने का और सुरक्षा का प्रबंध बड़े पुख्ता है। हजारों की तादाद में सुरक्षा कर्मी इसके लिए लगाए हुए हैं, जिसमें हमारी सेना है, सुरक्षा बल है, हमारी पुलिस, जम्मू कश्मीर की पुलिस है, सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स इसमें लगे हुए हैं और इस पर अच्छे प्रबंध हैं। बहुत
Shifting our focus on the international front, companies across the globe are reporting that they have been struck by a major ransomware cyber attack. Hackers launched blistering ransomware attacks against companies and agencies across the world, particularly targeting Ukrainian businesses. Major global firms reported that they have been targeted, including British advertising agency VPP, Russian oil and gas giant Rosneft, and Danish shipping firm Maersk. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant has also had to monitor radiation levels manually after its Windows-based sensors were shut down. The virus freezes the user's computer until a ransom is paid. The US Department of Homeland Security advised victims not to pay the ransom, saying there was no guarantee that access to files would be restored. The source of the attack is not yet clear. It is similar to WannaCry, which spread globally in May. But there are differences. Many firms have suggested the ransomware is a variant of Petya, a known ransomware. The international police organization Interpol has said that it was closely monitoring the situation. They are likely to close to 2,000 attacks due to the recent ransomware attack, mostly in Ukraine, Russia and Poland.
По всій країні багато підприємств, як державного, так і приватного сектору, сьогодні практично в один той самий час були уражені вірусом, дуже подібним до вірусу WannaCry, який блокує файли на комп'ютерах. Але енергосистема працює в порядку, ми зараз з вами на диспетчерському щиті.
It looks horribly like it might be using something very similar to the WannaCry ransomware that we saw. So this isn't people clicking on a link in an email and getting their computers infected. This looks like there's some automated mechanism spreading this. There's two possible mechanisms. It seems to be narrowed down to at the moment, but it's spreading extremely fast.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has said a helicopter fired on Venezuela's Supreme Court in a confusing incident that he claimed was a part of a conspiracy to destabilize his socialist government. According to the Associated Press, its reporter heard gunfire as a blue helicopter buzzed through downtown, but was unable to confirm where the shots were being fired from. The gunfire took place as Maduro was speaking live on a state television to pro-government journalists gathered at the presidential palace. He said the chopper fired upon officers of the court and launched a grenade that didn't explode before buzzing over the Interior Ministry. He said the nation's air defense was activated, thwarting what he called a terrorist attack and part of an ongoing coup attempt. The European Union has handed Google a record-breaking $2.7 billion fine, the biggest fine imposed by Europe on any company ever. The EU accuses the search engine for illegally favoring its own shopping services as customers used Google to search for products online. European regulators said that by artificially and illegally promoting its own price comparison services in searches, Google denied both its consumers, Real Choice and rival firms the ability to compete on a level playing field. The Silicon Valley giant has 90 days to stop its illegal activities and explain how it will reform its ways. The EU regulator is further investigating how else the company may have abused its position, specifically in its provision of maps, images and information on local services. Google, however, has disputed the EU's findings and said that it is considering to appeal. The search giant maintains that its shopping service helps consumers and advertisers.
Today, the Commission has decided to fine Google €2.4 billion for breaching EU antitrust rules. Google has abused its market dominance as a search engine by giving illegal advantages to another Google product, its shopping comparison service. Google must end this conduct within 90 days or face penalty payments.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.